Is it 2013 all over again? RG3 and Fitzmagic? Both relevant? What? Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Football Free for All. We are doing our Week 12 injury report. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving because the NFL did not. Those games were brutal on Thursday. And then on top of that, the marquee matchup of this week, likely not going to happen. If it does, we're having RG3 helming the Ravens. I mean, this divisional game should have been the creme de la creme, but instead, it's the RG3 Bowl. But we'll get into that in more detail. Let's start. Dolphins at Jets. Tua, very questionable. He has this injury that is it's his left thumb. It really is impacting his accuracy, and all reports are indicating that he probably is a game time decision at best. And with the backup that is Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't know why you would go anywhere else. Slot Ryan Fitzpatrick in versus the Jets. He is a top 10 quarterback for me this week. We also had Salvin Ahmed, who is out. And so that brings us to a weird spot. Where is it? Matt Breida. Who is it? Who's going to be the running back? Are they going to reactivate somebody? How is this going to go? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going nowhere near this backfield. Stick Devontae Parker. Stick to Mike Gesicki. Stick to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Matt Breida has not demonstrated anything this year. He's hardly played. So just move on. On the Jets side of the ball, it looks like Sam Darnold's back. I don't know if we care. I mean, this team is in shambles, but he's back. I think that this is going to be just a drubbing per usual. I feel for Sam Darnold because this team is miserable. I'm surprised that the vitriol and the calls for Gase's head have kind of quieted down. I don't understand that. I guess everybody's kind of just assumed that he's going to play out the rest of this season. If I was the Jets, I would be getting a jump start. I'd be getting the heck out of Dodge, put an interim in there, and let's find somebody in the offseason because there's some talent out there. Or go get Dan Quinn. He's sitting on his butt. Go get him. Put him in there. He can't be any worse than Adam Gase. He at least took somebody to a Super Bowl. I mean, come on. All right. The Chargers at Bills. The Chargers defense is just like absolutely toast. Casey Hayward, Melvin Ingram, Nwosu, they're all out. Kalen Ballage is questionable. You weren't trusting the Ballage barrage anyway. Like, who cares? Justin Herbert's a starter. Mike Williams is a borderline in this because the Bills' defense is pretty bad. Keenan Allen is a must. Hunter Henry has a little bit of a boosted value. This should be a shootout. On the Bills, John Brown with the ankle, he's out. He's out. So that lifts the floor for Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis. And Stephon Diggs gets one more or maybe two more targets. All of those guys are worth a go in deep leagues. Josh Allen, he should be able to really kind of exploit that week up front and be able to kind of spread the field a little bit more. I would see a little bit more run-pass option. Zach Moss and Singletary should be in for a decent day, but it's going to be interesting. So we've got the Cardinals at Patriots. This game, it's one of those things that we would have loved this marquee matchup at the beginning of the year, but Cam Newton has really struggled to like integrate in this team. Last week he had 356 yards. That's great. Awesome. But they could barely run the ball. 86 total yards. You're telling me between all of those players you can only get 86 yards? Really? The Cardinals defense is nothing too scary. So it should be something where Cam can have a really good rapport with Jacoby Myers and Bird, and he could get something going. But I just don't have any faith here. I don't think Cam Newton is on the level where he should be, partially because they don't have any weapons around him. This team is just devoid of talent. Sony Michel's off of IR. I think he'll see an increased workload. It's just, you weren't going with a running back in New England anyway, so just keep moving. We also have Rex Burkhead, though. He's out for the year. That knee injury looked really, really nasty. So you're not, if you had him, drop him. He's not worth an IR designation. He's not coming back. All right, Giants at Bengals. Joe Burrow, you're out for the year. That sucks. He really showed that he has the talent, though. I think that this is going to, save some hits. Obviously, you don't want to see somebody's knee get messed up the way his was, but it is more of a real downgrade for all of those pass catchers. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, AJ Green. I mean, all of those guys are kind of just getting decimated. It's really less than ideal for everybody involved. This defense is also miserable. The Bengals defense is terrible. And so Danny Dimes has as good a shot as any to try to take that next step and really prove something. And this NFC East is anybody's game. I mean, we saw that on Thanksgiving. It's not like the Washington football team was any good and the Cowboys are deplorable. So, I mean, and it's not like the Eagles can stop from putting their foot in their mouth. So I think that the Giants could be the best defense out of these set. And I think that if Danny Dimes can take that step, he could be a viable fantasy option. But he is towards the back. I prefer Fitzmagic if he's the starter to Danny Jones. And that's kind of terrible because Fitzmagic's a backup. And we're saying that over the number 6 overall pick from a couple years ago. Titans at Colts. This is probably the best game of the slate now, with the Steelers-Ravens being pushed to Tuesday and likely not happening, but definitely without a lot of the key players. So with the Titans, we've got Adam Humphries. He's out. And then we've got some defensive injuries, but the core of this team is still healthy. Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. I mean, those guys are both must-starts. This Colts defense is starting to get worn down. And then Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, he's going to run you all the way through. I think that Derrick Henry is going to be one of those. It's going to be Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. Those 3 players are going to get people into the playoffs. They're just going to take them there. On the Colts side, there are so many injuries. Okereke, DeForest Buckner, Denicho Autry, Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Even Phillip Rivers is questionable with an injury to his toe. I mean, that's probably not going to stop him. His accuracy is negative at this point. So, but this should be an interesting game. I don't think the defense is as stout as one used to think of this Colts defense. Browns at Jags. All right, Mike Glennon gets his first start since the Bears paid him $15 million to sit on the bench. This game is really not that exciting. The Browns are really kind of trying to find their identity again. They may be winning, but it is not in the fashion that Stefanski wants. Chubb and Hunt should have days. They should be going absolutely ham. But this passing offense just doesn't look right. It's Austin Hooper's not really worth your time. Higgins, I mean, Rashard Higgins, I don't know any pass catcher that I'm starting. And Baker Mayfield, not a starter. For the Jags, this is just an absolute slaughter show. DJ Chark, Chris Conley, both out. Gardner Minshew is questionable, but he's not getting the start. It's Dare Agumbawale, who cares? Like, good for him. He's on a roster, but it's the Robinson show, and that's what's going to happen here. They are going to run the ball right down the Browns' throat, and that's all they've got. You're avoiding any of these pass catchers for the Jags. James Robinson might be the only start on the entirety of this Jags team. Panthers at Vikings. All right. CMC is not expected to play. Let's get that out of here right away. Christian McCaffrey, not expected to go, even though he has a questionable designation. That means Mike Davis, dial him in, put him on. He's going to be the guy. Teddy Bridgewater should be back this week. And if he's back, you see that increased value to Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. You see that more dynamic play. Also remember, Teddy Two Gloves, he was drafted by the Vikings. He had that catastrophic knee injury. I don't buy into this rivalry or revenge game narrative, but it very easily could be a day and he just has a little more incentive. On the Vikings, Adam Thielen, reserve list. Justin Jefferson has yet to have the number one shadow cover corner. He's yet to show that he can carry the team. We're going to see that this week. If he is the end-all be-all here, that's great. But what I think we see instead is we see a little bit of a lift to Rudolph, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, I think will get mixed in. This is going to be a team that is still kind of coming off of that terrible loss, but they're going to be able to run it down the Panthers' throat. The Panthers' defense isn't that good, but I want to see Justin Jefferson take that next step. All right, Raiders at Falcons. So the Falcons have so many injuries. Todd Gurley, he's out. Julio Jones, questionable. Hayden Hurst, questionable. Dante Fowler, questionable. I mean, those are the core of this team. Calvin Ridley, he's good to go, but without multiple playmakers here, it is tough. I don't think Hill or Ito Smith, neither of them is a fantasy starter. What we're going to see is Matt Ryan, he's going to have to huck it, and Calvin Ridley should be in it for a huge day, and Russell Gage is relevant again. If Julio Jones does not play, Russell Gage is a top 30 wide receiver. For the Raiders, we only have 2 defensive injuries. Farrell and Harris. They're both questionable. They're both probably going to start. This team played the Chiefs so tough. They are much better than people are giving them credit for. They have multiple fantasy starters on this team. And Waller the Baller and Jacobs, even Henry Ruggs, they're all viable options this week. And they're going to just gash the crap out of the Falcons. This is one of those games that I think people are sleeping on the Raiders a little bit, which that makes my stomach turn, but it's the truth. Saints at Broncos. Man, the Saints are going to roll out with Taysom Hill. Yeah. I was low on Taysom Hill. I still think he is not the right option. I'm going to obviously have egg on my face when he is just a superstar again this week with multiple rushing touchdowns and substantial yardage through the air. But if you're looking for your quarterback of the future, why is it Taysom Hill? You spent all that money on Jameis Winston. What are you doing? Stop it. All right. On the other side, Jerry Jeudy he's hurt. There was some talk about Rippon taking over for Drew Lock. Look, that's not happening. Rippon's on the reserve list as well. Drew Lock he's going to get the reps. He needs to take that next step. They did win last week. So there's a shot that they're going to kind of start churning and they're going to start seeing something. Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant are the players you're looking at. I'm not excited about Lindsey or Melvin Gordon, but, you know, it could be interesting. This team, the Saints team, may have some inflated opinions of themselves because coming off of that Falcons drubbing, but it's not like they are without any sort of they haven't competed at a very high level recently. Alvin Kamara is going to have a day, so will Michael Thomas. Those two players are going to absolutely eat the Broncos alive, but I think this game could be a little closer than a lot of people are saying. 49ers at Rams. All right, the 49ers may be the most unlucky team in the NFL. Tevin Coleman's out, Compton's out, Flanagan Fowles is out, Kwan Williams, Dre Greenlaw, and the list goes on and on and on. Jordan Reed is questionable. I think as anybody who has started Jordan Reed anytime this year, it's so boom or bust. You're not really relying on it. But that's how I feel. I'm not excited about any of this. I think the 49ers are in a rough shape. I think they are not a team that has much to play for at this point in time. I think they are going to be a team that sees 2022 as being their year. So the Rams, other than Tyler Higbee, are pretty healthy. Higbee with his elbow is questionable. Chiefs at Bucks. This is the premier matchup other than the Titans Colts. The Chiefs are healthy. I mean, talk about awesome. The Chiefs are at about 100%, as much as you can be at 100% for week 12. And the Bucks, they're relatively healthy too. They're coming off of a bad loss last week. This should be a barn burner of a game. The Bucks defense has some nicks and bruises. They are not necessarily operating as what they were at the beginning of the season, but you never know when they're going to take that step. I like Kelsey, I like Hill, I like CEH, I like Patty Mahomes, obviously. I like Tom Brady, I like, man, I hate to say this, Ronald Jones. Leonard Fournette's probably a flex play. Antonio Brown, Evans, Godwin, they're all starters. They're all starters, folks. How crazy is that? What a weird, weird year that we've got this premier matchup and everybody's healthy. Finally, Bears at Pack. Trubisky is going to start, which is another absolute mistake. I understand Nick Foles is hurt, but the issue is that this is going to be a quarterback controversy. The Bears are just a mess. So, what else is new? I don't like any of these players. Allen Robinson's the highest. David Montgomery's probably going to play, but I'm not going anywhere near. The Packers are going to feast. I understand the Bears defense is still okay, but you're not as good as Aaron Rodgers. And Devontae Adams is set to play, even though he has that ankle injury. Yes, he's had some kind of concerns, but he's going to play. Equanimous St. Brown and MVS are both also questionable. Well, thank you for watching this week's Fantasy Football Free-For-All. Please like, comment, and subscribe.